Hi, this is Earthy Indigo, psychic medium, intuitive, and tarot card reader. This is celebrity psychic reading for Janet Jackson and her husband, Wissam Mana or Mana. The energies that come through around the relationship is strongly coming from Janet, that she loves to be in love. She loves to be in love. She loves the idea of love. She loves the little birdies chirping, and it's the energy of her just loving to be in love. Feels like she's going to have another relationship after this one. And it doesn't feel like it's that far away. It feels like it'll be within the next 4 years. She'll be with someone else. Strong energy around her becoming homesick. Strong energy of her feeling disconnected from her family, from her fans. Mostly her family. I know it's been out in the news already that, of course, she wanted more interaction, wanting to look after her mother more. And she felt like her husband wasn't as supportive in her wanting to look after her mother more and having her mother come move to where she was. Her mother wasn't going to move. That energy comes through very strong. Her mother was not leaving. All her boys are here. She wasn't leaving. But ultimately, she wanted to be closer to her mother. Her mother is up in age. She just had a child, and she wanted that nurturing that comes from the mother, especially when you have a child. It's nothing better than having your mom around if you're able to, and it's a strong energy around that. She wanted to be close to her mommy. She wanted to be close to her mother. Feels like she went back and forth with her other sisters as well. Like they had some sputes or some spats, some back and forth energy, like it was some friction between her and her sisters. Because she felt like her sisters could be doing more. And their argument back is like, well, look, you're way over there. Who are you to tell us? It feels like it was just some back and forth. It feels like also energy from her sisters. Like, you don't need, like it was an energy of not leaving, you don't need to leave him. Like that kind of energy comes through. Like, are you sure that's what you really want to do? Ultimately, they're supportive of her. The energy comes through. Like, ultimately, they're supportive, but it feels like it was some back and forth energy between her and her sisters. And the energy that comes through is like they were trying to get her to stay with them, or they wasn't so pressed on her getting a divorce or ending it for whatever reason. Not a strong energy from her brothers of carrying one way or the other. Now, of course, they love their sister and she loves them, but it was just an energy of she does what she wants, do what she wants. Strong energy of her loving to be in love. She just loves love, loves the idea of love, loves to be in love. An energy that she felt like her star was dimming, like her star was dimming. Now, of course, in the world's eyes, Janet Jackson is Janet Jackson, and she comes from the legendary Jackson family. Like, no, you're still a superstar. But the energy that comes through is that she wasn't getting the juice that she wanted. She wasn't getting that attention that she wanted. She wasn't feeling the love where she was. Not saying that she wasn't loved, it feels like she was loved, but she wasn't feeling that rush that you get from going outside and there being lots of cameras, or that rush that you get from knowing, like walking down the street, people screaming. It feels like where she was living, it wasn't like that. It was a sense of normalcy. Even though she and her husband extremely wealthy, and they have the highest levels of being exclusive, but it's just an energy that she wasn't getting that same attention over where she was. She wasn't getting that attention, and it feels like once a star, it's like a high. You get a high from being a celebrity, a certain type of high, and she wasn't getting it. Energy that she felt creatively stifled. It's an energy from her husband that there was love, that he did love her, but it's a strong energy over possession. Like Janet is like an energy of her being a possession. Now you're mine. Now you're mine. So you do what I want you to do. Like that kind of an energy. It just feels like he had certain expectations. She was so used to everybody being glad to be in her presence, whereas he was glad to be in her presence, but he looked at her more like a present to him, something of his, a possession of mine. I love you. It's still that sense of humanity there, still that sense of love, but it's still a sense of ownership. It's still a sense of more so entitlement. Like when you're over there, when you're in when you're in Europe and when you're in the States, people bow to you. But when you're here with me, I'm the ruler. People bow to me. It was a sense of hierarchy in the relationship. It's the energy of Janet liking a little bit more control, no pun intended. Liking a little bit more breathing room. Feels like there was a breaking point when she got put on some type of schedule, or she was starting to get allotted certain times for things. It's the energy of some type of scheduling system, or something where you have a time allotment for certain things. It was like she was starting to be put on a schedule, and it doesn't even feel like it was directly, like he directly told her. It feels like it was through his people or through people around him, like it was suggested over time, and she started getting put on a regimen or a schedule of some sorts, and she was like, hell no. Of course, in the news there was also rumors of him and infidelities, like him having other girlfriends. It's the energy around that, but it's not strong. It's not strong like, well, infidelity is infidelity, but it's not strong like any of them meant anything to him. It was something to do. You do for me what I won't allow my wife to do. That kind of an energy. You're giving my wife a break. That's the kind of mentality. It's like that comes through very strong. You do for me what I will not allow my wife to do. She was definitely, the energy comes through like she was strongly put on a pedestal. Strongly put on a pedestal. Like a Fabergé egg. Like he looked at her as like something. It feels very much like a possession, very much like a piece of art, but still a possession. And it's a strong energy around mine. I know also that through the media there was saying how she was going to get all of this money from him. Energetically coming from Janet, it doesn't feel like that high percentage that she would have been getting. Like, what was it, 500 million, 250 million? It was like a lot. It's not a strong energy that that's so important to her. Does feel like she's going to walk away with a sizable amount of money, but it doesn't feel like it's the allotment of the 500 million. Feels more like 80 million, and it feels like she's not reaching for that much. Energy is like the prenup had to be written up that way. It had to make her look good. It's like an energy of everything to look good or look a certain type of way. But it's a strong energy that she doesn't even feel safe taking that much money from him or accepting that much money in the divorce settlement. It's the energy of her not even feeling safe. Ultimately, it's not a feeling that he will want to do anything to her or would do anything to her, but it's just an energy of her not feeling safe. Like, she's like, I don't know, I'm good. Just, it's more like 70 to 80 million dollars. It feels like she's more comfortable with a lesser amount. Not that she not that she has low self-worth or anything like that. It's just a concern for safety. It feels like it's a concern for just being like cognizant that I know I'm good. I'll just the 70 to 80 is cool. It's more of, it doesn't feel like she's going to get the whole 500 million. It feels like that was just written up in grandiose style. It just feels like it was written up in grandiose style. In him saying like, I worship you, I worship you. And in fact, there was a lot of worshiping going on in the very beginning to get her. But once you get somebody, then you know it's a whole nother story. Strong energy coming from him, more of her being like a possession though. Not that there was less humanity there, but it's still, she was still like a high priced gift. You're mine, mine, mine. I'm seeing chains from him to her. Strong energy around toward the end, like feels like upwards of a year and a half, like maybe 2 years ago. Feels like an energy of her starting to be put on this regimen of this schedule. And it was so strict and strenuous. And it was a lot of pressure. And it just feels like she felt she could have had more support, and she didn't feel like it was it feels like some of the things that he said came across as heartless at times, inconsiderate. Like, I'm not a cow, I'm not an animal, like I'm a woman. Like, it just, some of the things, it just feels like it came across as insensitive to womanhood, insensitive to her and her situation. And of course, you know, the regimented schedule could have been like the in vitro and different things for her to get pregnant. But it still feels like he was still, and him and his team still was trying to put her on some type of schedule where she had allotted times for this, allotted times for that. You can do this time, and then we have our time. It just feels like she was slowly seeing freedom slip away. Strong energy around her being homesick. And also feeling, you know, a fade from the spotlight. She wasn't, though, as far as the spotlight is concerned. She is Janet Jackson. She comes from the legendary Jackson family. But it's just an energy, that high that you get from your fame and celebrity. She wasn't getting it where she was. What's coming up for Janet? It feels like she's going to be releasing some type of documentary. More music and some kind of documentary. It feels like she's going to do some kind of documentary. Feels like it's centered around womanhood, coming together, what life is like for a woman in the Middle East, but not, it feels like it still kind of shies away from a lot of things. It's still kind of more wet in the surface. It feels very surfacey. Feels like a documentary. We're going to get a documentary from Janet. Some form of documentary is coming. It feels like it's around her womanhood, motherhood, life. Doesn't feel like it's E or anything like that, like any of those channels. It feels like it's either streamed, some form of streaming platform. Could be Amazon or Netflix or something, but it doesn't feel like Netflix. It feels more kind of Amazonish, or it comes with her next album you'll be able to stream. But it feels like she's going to release some type of documentary. A documentary. Feels like the documentary coming from her is even bigger than the music that she's going to be releasing. Because the documentary is like it sheds into her life. It feels like we're going to watch her working out. Like we're going to watch her go to the doctors. It feels like we're going to watch her live her ordinary life. We're going to watch her get a Jamba Juice. Like it feels like she's going to let us in visually into some things. Her going around the world traveling, what it's like being a new mom. It's just that kind of energy. Feels like the documentary kind of tails end of her coming into her motherhood. You get a slight little bit of this, a slight little bit of that, but it's not going to be so huge around her and her baby as it is to just her life. Her life, what's going on musically. Feels like she's been doing something with therapy, like vocal therapy, something to do with her and her chords. That energy comes through very strong. Feels like she will be in another relationship. And that feels like it's within 4 years. Doesn't feel like she's going to take all of the money. Or it doesn't even feel like she ever had an interest in taking all of the money. But it does feel like she's going to get like $70 to $80 million. Doesn't feel like she even feels safe taking $500 million. And it's not her taking. I mean, it was written up in a legal document. Her prenup. It's not like she's not entitled to it because that's the papers they signed. But it still feels like she doesn't feel safe taking all of that. Alright, I'm Earthy Indigo, Psychic, Medium, Intuitive, and Tarot Card Reader. Click on the link in the description to book a reading. Remember, it's 3 questions for $10. I'm Earthy Indigo, and I love to read for you. Bye.